Hello and welcome to Noobs in Progress. My name is Nathan, and here with me I have
Ethan Murphy, Nathan Baker's friend.
Hello, and our special guest.
Denzel Nobel.
Hello, how are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm well, man. I'm well.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I can't stop smiling. I've been smiling most of the day since I saw this flick. Please, Denzel, tell the folks at home what movie we're reviewing today.
Today we're going to be reviewing Johnny Mnemonic, early Keanu Reeves film. After he was in his silly mood, he was trying to get serious with these.
Yeah, you try to get serious with this.
Yeah.
With this, yes.
Keep that in mind.
Though a little bit of the silly slipped through in this one. There were a couple scenes where it was like, he's going along, like, he's being all serious, and then he just did like a little, like, whoop thing, and you're just like, what just happened?
But first things first, on a very serious note, we'd like to thank Denzel from the very bottom of our pancreas for suggesting this movie, because Nate and I have never experienced anything quite like this.
No. Yes, thank you so much for bringing this along with you.
Bringing this.
You're welcome.
Please, audience, do not think that we're being like, oh God, this movie was absolute crap. Like, if you just want to have a fun, like, hour and a half, that's just silly. That's just silly.
It's only an hour and a half, by the way. But
for those of you who are like me and cannot remember what it was, Johnny Mnemonic is a movie with Denzel. No, Denzel is here with us.
And we're off.
But it's with Keanu Reeves, and it's a movie about a data courier literally carrying a data package inside his head. Must deliver it before he dies from the burden or is killed by the Yakuza.
Wow. And that, let's be honest. That premise sounds fantastic. Especially in the mid-90s, right at the precipice of the internet. That premise, I guarantee you, that person walked into a room, a pitch meeting, and they just said that, and they were like, here's your money.
Well, actually, it's funny, because I did what I do, and that is I watched this movie, and then I went, okay, I gotta find out more about how this thing got made. It's based on a short story by William Gibson, and I actually found the short story through entirely legal means. Anyway, and I started to read it. I got about a third of the way through it before life happened. Kids came in the room and were like, "Daddy, you gotta do it," and I was like, "Oh, crap." So I didn't get very far in it, but it is similar, but not to the short story, at least of what I read. But also, apparently, what had happened was William Gibson and the director, basically, their original plan was they wanted to make it for like 1.5 million, have it be like an artsy film, and they couldn't sell it to anybody. Nobody wanted it at that level. They decided to just go to Sony and see if Sony would take it, and Sony was like, yeah, we'll give you 30 million.
Yeah, no, sure, why not?
Shouts out to Sony, man.
Thanks, Sony. We appreciate it.
And apparently, and at the end of it all, William Gibson actually wasn't happy with it. The theatrical release here in the U.S., it really wasn't what he had envisioned. The interesting thing, and this is something that I really want to see, apparently the cut that made it to Japan is much more reflective of the vision of Robert Longo and William Gibson. So I would love to see that cut.
I'm genuinely curious to see what that cut's like.
Yeah.
When I saw that this was set in 2021, and the whole big problem was like that there was a virus going around. I was like, this is funny right now. We should probably talk about that.
I'm going to go ahead and just read. So for those who haven't seen this movie, it opens with, I can only describe as a epic crawl of lunacy. That's just, it's fantastic. It says, in the second decade of the 21st century, corporations rule. The world is threatened by a new plague, NAS, nerve actuation syndrome,
aka COVID.
Basically, aka COVID. It's a fatal epidemic. Its cause and cure unknown. The corporations are opposed by low techs, a resistance movement risen from the streets. Hackers, data pirates, and guerrilla fighters. That is one of the single most 90s opening crawls I could fathom.
So many trigger words was in that.
Well, the crazy bit for me was if you just take out that third paragraph of the, like the low techs and the hackers and all that, the fighting and the back and forth, you've described 2020. Like you have accurately described 2020.
Oh, we got all of that. We're not missing none of that. Economy's going crazy right now.
that's a very good point. I didn't even think of that with Anonymous and all that. We have all of it, but what's even funnier to me is the fact that it's just like Hollywood normally is, where Hollywood is this movie, and we are actually in a boring dystopia. Like, we're just in this, like, it's the same thing, but it's not Hollywoodized. It's much more boring, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's a perfect question. What's worse? Would you rather be in Giant Mnemonic world or our 2020 world?
It was all the same. I mean, I bet they have people in a Giant Mnemonic world living just like me, just like a
probably.
regular
Probably.
crib, just got it. But like the dude, he can only store like a 160. That's like a classic iPod storage. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I will probably want to be in this world only because it's not as savage. Like, we got COVID. Yeah, we could be what's the when you don't show any symptoms? I forgot what it's called.
Oh, asymptomatic.
You could be that. Over there, they got the shakes. They go crazy.
Yes.
So I probably want to stay in this world. We probably got a little bit easier. Exaggerated just a little bit is right there.
I have to piggyback off what Dee just said there. The shake. So the actress Dina Myers, who was also in Starship Trooper, fine actress. She was in even some of the Saw movies where she tries to show a little more depth and range of character. Yeah. Her performance when she has the shakes. I have been to nightclubs where women are just having a rough day, and then when they get in there, they just let themselves go. I have never seen someone let themselves go this much. You can tell the director just said, "And whatever," and she just flailed. I applauded. I said, "Thank you, Denzel. Thank you." And I saw her just convulsing. I don't even know what that was. And then watching Keanu Reeves try to hold her or react to that in real time, he's like, "This wasn't even in the script. What's happening?
Yeah,
what's going on?"
I thought you were like gonna vibrate or something. I didn't realize that you were just gonna like do an interpretive dance. Like, it's,
do an interpretive dance.
I will say, like, I do think that of the main characters, she was actually the best actress. Like,
by far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like the twisty dance notwithstanding, everything else, I think she did really well.
When she spoke, I believe what she was saying. When Ice-T spoke, I was like, does he know he's on camera?
When he said, "Where are you from?" and he said, "Heaven," and he like pointed to heaven, that was super 90s feels for me. I'm like, yeah, like we're the actors that can't act. We don't get that no more. We get all university graduated actors. Give me an Ice-T. Just
give me Ice-T.
The CGI heaven that he's imagining.
But yeah, we have to take a step back for the audience. Ice-T, famed actor from Special Victims Unit season 9 through 24. Is in this movie.
This is how he got his start. Got his start here.
That's how he got his
start. I don't know if it was his start, but it was early.
Might as well have been. It might as well have been. And they let him do his own face paint and makeup, apparently.
Yeah.
Where they just draw lines on themselves as their war paint, I guess.
Yeah. When I didn't even know Ice-T was in the movie until I don't even know the group is called. I'm gonna just call them Antifa. The people with technology, or Anonymous. I'm gonna call them
Anonymous. Yeah.
The people who was like going against who was trying to destroy the system. Sometimes they tap into like the network that all the TVs are ran on, because it's like a multimedia corporation has taken over. So sometimes they tap into it and just like send out some messages. And I heard the message come through the TV, and I'm like, they got some dude that sound like Ice-T on there. And then my girl was like, "Oh no, yeah, that's Ice-T."
Yeah. And I love how he didn't actually try to change his vocal patterns at all. It didn't matter if Heaven was literally getting shot by multiple rockets by someone that looks identical to the cop from RoboCop. It didn't matter if he was literally presenting Keanu Reeves to a dolphin that's kind of their Jesus Christ.
That's Jones.
Ice-T didn't skip a beat. He was always just like, "This is my move." There was a part, his intro, if y'all remember his intro, they're on top of like a roof, right? And he's next to his little buddy that keeps asking for his radio or whatever. And that guy gets clipped underneath the chin and falls off. And Ice-T just casually watches him fall and then saunters down there and like pulls a gun on. It's like the most like unresponsive event. Like I don't know if he's even aware that it happened.
Come on, Ice-T. Come on, all the points are there.
You mentioned the idea of the Anonymous group Ice-T's group, are those the low techs? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they were the low
Okay,
Is
techs.
that what
the
they're
low
called?
techs.
Okay, they're called the
They're
low
the low
techs.
techs.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, they were called the low
The
techs.
low techs got Jones though, right? The dolphin.
Yeah.
Do you guys know this, like, because you said that you are kind of familiar with the story that they have that this was based on. They didn't let it go into the movies, but Jones was supposed to be the dolphin was supposed to be a heroin addict. Like the way that they made him so smart and the way that they made sure that he comes back was that they got him addicted to heroin
Oh my
so that
God.
they can like train him that way. But that didn't make it into the real film. So that
Yeah.
stopped at
Jesus.
they were using Jones for these these hacking experiments, and when
Uh-huh.
instead of Keanu Reeves having to hack himself, they had to like use heroin for him. Like, yo, you got to do this for the heroin type thing, and that's how he ends up getting the code to hack his mind at the end. It's
Oh.
Uh-huh.
because Jones helped him out. He hacked it.
I would
But,
imagine PETA would probably have had a little bit of a problem. Even though I know that wasn't a real dolphin, they probably still would have been like, people are going to be out on the beach trying to give heroin to dolphins. Stop.
But one thing, a big part of this movie is, of course, obviously, but aside from the heroin addict dolphin that's a savior, we literally have Dolph Lundgren as a roided out super Christ cyborg that's pontificating the Bible every chance he gets while he's
Assassin
actually
Jesus.
crucifying people. He's crucifying like Henry Rollins,
Yes.
trying to crucify Dina Myers. I mean, it's like this guy is he's a 90s writer's like wet fantasy as far as like the super duper like blonde monstrous poke at religion or whatever. And I love the idea that the actual savior in this film, of course, is Giant Mnemonic, is Keanu Reeves. And there's a part where he waxes poetic about how he it's made my favorite part in the movie, and I am 100% gonna play this clip when I edit this later on. It's the part where he basically just like starts spewing the way the audience feels, where he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" After a car gets dropped down on top of them, and he's standing on top of a pile of trash.
That's
looking like a
the
strung out
monologue
junkie.
I was telling y'all about. That was the Keanu monologue for the film.
Yeah, when he got to that, when he started going off, I was like, oh, I think this is the part.
It's fantastic. It is
great.
In all fairness, it's some of his
It's a
best
good
acting
one.
as far as him just like losing it. Like, I should be in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
He's like this losing it. He's like, I can't believe. I feel like some of that may be Keanu Reeves. Like, why am I on this set? Why did I agree to this? I was in Speed the year before. The year before, I was in Speed with Jeff Daniels and Joe Morton. Joe Morton from Terminator 2. And I'm in this movie with Ice-T, who has no idea what dialogue even is. So I watched that part and I was just so happy.
Well, I loved how the like 4-ish computer graphic scenes, I was thinking about the fact that those scenes take up maybe 5 minutes of the movie total. And I bet you they probably cost as much as the other hour and 25 minutes of the film. And by today's standards, they look like hot garbage.
Yeah, I saw a lot of callbacks to like this time. Like it was like kind of, I don't want to say it was kind of far off, but like they had a pretty good idea of like where we was heading.
Right.
So that was kind of interesting to me.
That's crazy. It's funny to think about how this is literally a period piece theorizing how the future would be. The period is actually the 90s. And in the 90s, this is how filmmakers and storytellers believe the world might be in the future. Because this is roughly set, almost, it's like 2.5 decades in the future. So this is them theorizing. So if we were to make a movie now, what the year 2045 would look like, how accurate would it be?
That's what they did. How do you guys think that we would do?
As fast as technology is moving, we couldn't come close.
Yeah, I don't think we could do as good as these guys did because
no, I don't.
Because frankly, because it was very soon after this movie when technology went from getting better at this rate to getting better at this rate. What I find interesting is that they actually did a pretty good job using the technology that they had at the time. Because think about it. He's talking to Ralphie, like on a video call, which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we're doing right now.
Now, the major difference is that they had no idea that flat screen TVs would become a thing. They had no idea.
Right.
So all the TVs in the movie are the console TVs, like the big, with tube TVs.
The vacuum tube.
Yeah, vacuum tube
Yeah.
TVs. And it looks weird, but they had no idea to
Wait,
predict
but-
because that's not a technology that people are going to
It doesn't
think about.
Yeah, the
you
brains
know?
don't- yeah.
And the only reason why it looks weird is because we got the flat screen thing kind of before we got the FaceTime thing, So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. FaceTime
it's
cleaned
just
it up
like the
because of-
periods are just kind of flip flop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Funny though, you mentioned you mentioned heaven. Obviously, as Ice-T waves to it very casually. Here's heaven.
Yeah.
It does show all. It's part of it is a giant monitor tower, like an inverted Christmas tree of monitors, right? And they're all vacuum tube, but they kind of position it so that you don't see the backs of all of them. You kind of just see just the screens, and it kind of does paint an interesting tapestry. Because one thing that was kind of cool is back in the day, those giant like square TVs were kind of a fun aesthetic, especially like in the 80s and whatnot, like MTV. That's part of the logo. So it's kind of fun to see that aesthetic brought back. The flat screen TVs that we have now don't really have that kind of charm to them.
They fall more into the hacker aesthetic of like Swordfish and all of that. But that's the interesting thing is that it's I think they got some of the bigger things that I think people back then would have thought, that's nah. And the stuff they got wrong was the nitty-gritty details, like vacuum tube versus flat screen. The fact that in the movie they were still using telephone lines for internet connections and that kind of thing, which was back then, that was the way internet was connected. You did it through telephone lines. Now we do it through cable. That's not something they ever could have known would have happened.
So they were kind of on point in the broad scheme of things.
Very much so. I mean, even the plot itself, we haven't really talked too much about the plot. We read the plot, but the actual plot is how Keanu Reeves is a courier. And so his job is to take a digital package, which will be housed and is uploaded into his brain, or like a section of his brain. He has to get from point A to point B. It's a really cool concept.
One question. Yeah, I was about to say, was this before flash drives? Did they not know
100%.
that flash drives were going to be?
Way before.
100%.
That is
we were still on the not the 5-inch, we were the 3.5-inch floppy disks. You mentioned 160 gigabytes, and I do have to give them credit for this. They used 80 gigabyte, 160 gigabyte, and 320 gigabyte. Those are the 3 gigabyte numbers that were thrown around a lot in this movie. The interesting thing to me is back then a gigabyte, but like that was insanity. All of the computers in NASA didn't have a gigabyte of data in them at that time. It was massive. But today, 160 gigabytes, like we're pretty close to that on our iPhones. Like I have an 128 gigabyte iPhone. But that's kind of accurate, though. Their point of what we would consider a normal amount of data, like this is another piece that they actually kind of got right. Those are actually like, okay, yeah, that's kind of normal data usage for this day and age. And that's a pretty strange thing to hit the bullseye on.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
Because even the part where
the bullseye on a lot of things in this movie that was weird.
Yes.
One place where he missed is that like when I go to upload a 4 gigabyte video file, it takes like 2 hours. They're processing 320 in like a minute, and I'm like, foul.
Right. Probably would have hurt. Like literally, figure. I mean, if 320 in a minute would obviously damn near kill you.
Crazy is how he had to get rid of his old memories to take the storage, like to have this job. You gotta give up. You gotta sacrifice actual memories.
It's an amazing premise. Like, I mean, if I was a writer, this is amazing. Well done. One of my single favorite ideas or concept in this movie was just the fact that the guy had in his thumbnail, it was a laser. And what made it work was that his boss says, "I see you turned your weakness into a strength." They didn't even go into the backstory as far as, I lost it fighting in a war or a whole bunch of stuff. It just from what he said there, you get the idea that he lost it somehow. His boss is aware of it, and he's made use of it. He's incorporated new kind of technology with it. And it's like that's a very cool way of story writing way to do that. And I love how he actually uses it in battle and things like that. And I love how the way he does his demise is because he's put in a position where he can't use both his hands. As awesome as that thing is, if he can't use his right hand or left hand to actually pull the thumbnail out, he's worthless. And so Keanu Reeves, of course, pulls out himself and does away with him.
Was it just me, or did it look like he got that little thumbnail thing out of a Happy Meal Was that just me?
It didn't look expensive.
Okay. It just looked like a little piece of plastic. Every time they did a close-up of it, I know they were trying to like, ooh, look, this is like dangerous and badass. And it was like, I'm looking at it and going, it looks like plastic. Okay. And I also found it funny when they when he kills that Ralphie guy. I had to actually go back and watch it a couple of times because the way they shot it was weird. He pulls it out and he does like a whip thing. And then they show him going, and then they do a close-up of his chest, but they do it so close
yes,
that you can't tell, and it's him sliding apart. But you can't tell what's sliding. I thought it was his arm. I was like,
right.
Yeah, that was edgy for his time, bro. That was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they was trying to get you to use your imagination a little bit more.
Use your imagination.
Years before that.
So that dude, now you brought up Ralphie real quick. That guy, everything from the way he talks to how bright and shiny his eyes are, to the fact that he sucks his prostitute / bodyguard's tongues. It's like, that guy is just, mwah, thank you. That was another time where I was like, Denzel, excellent pick. Excellent pick. I want just the Udo Kier Ralphie movie. It just follows Ralphie's life. That's it.
I felt the same way about Hookie, who we only saw just one scene. The poor guy gets his hand frozen and then smashed, and then presumably he gets killed. But
he's so happy. He was the nicest guy in the movie.
No, he gave up the information. He probably didn't get killed.
I just kind of assumed that Assassin Jesus doesn't leave any sinners behind. Let me just say that.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren, no, Assassin Jesus don't leave loose ends.
Can I bring up real quick though the complete randomness that he also just happens to be the son of the founder of Pharmacom?
It's a leap. It's a logic leap.
That's bad writing, but it's okay. We had a good time by the time we found out that was a thing. We was enjoying ourselves by it.
But see, that's the movie I want to see. I want to see how he was the child of, like, obviously an extremely successful and powerful woman. She died in 2006, so she died 14 years prior to the events of this movie, but she was downloaded into the thing. So she was an AI in this movie. That was how she was in it. Yeah. But I want to find out how he goes from that point. What happened at that point to have him become, like, was it that, she kept the money from him? So he decided to become a mnemonic so he can bring stuff. Yeah, courier to so on and so forth, or was it like, I want to see that story?
That's a really good point that you made, Nate, because the idea is like, what are the odds that this random ass dude that clearly states he's nobody, wants to just be a kind of a low life away from everyone in the world, just happens to get the cure for essentially every STD and every problem in the world for COVID-19 2024, just happens to also have been the exact son of the person who invented the corporation from the beginning. It's like, that's such a leap, but that was, again, Denzel, thank you for being a fantastic guest. Thank you for having this fantastic suggestion of Johnny Platonic, or Johnny Pneumonia, or Johnny Mnemonic, all the words.
Johnny Plutonic. Thank you, Denzel. Seriously, like honestly, thank you so much for suggesting this and joining us these past 2 weeks. Has been fantastic. Yeah, so thank you so much, everybody. Make sure to like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, Twitch, podcasts, all that stuff. Also, be sure to check out Nerds with Melanin. Denzel comes with us.
Check me out, Nerds with Melanin. We got a podcast on Sundays. Come check it out. We got some people on there.
Yes, please do. Check them out. Search for Nerds with Melanin on Facebook. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
Johnny Sins.
Shouts out to y'all.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.